I'm not ready.
You're not ready yet? Okay, tell us when you're ready.
Your hair all set. Your hair looks good.
I'm ready.
You ready? All right.
Yeah, ready.
It's important for a place like Nordic Northwest to exist for both my daughter and I's generations because it bridges that gap between different generations and brings everyone together.
It's so important for young people to be involved at Nordic Northwest, to really find that community and that center with each other, but then also to really deepen and enrich our cultural roots.
I always knew that our family had a long line of Swedish and Nordic roots, but I never got into it and explored it until about 2 years ago. And I think one of the main reasons that it's been possible for me to learn about my culture and where I came from is Nordic Northwest.
This goes back almost 45 years ago. 1981, Scandinavian Heritage Foundation took root, and it was a few years later was incorporated. The people that started that, the founders' generation, took a leap of faith and started raising money, and they had a belief, they had a vision to create this cultural center.
There was a very great concern amongst the Scandinavian community that we preserve our heritage, and we were losing a lot of our unique items that went to the Nordic Museum in Seattle. And so we wanted to have our own museum where we could display our historical items and arts and crafts and things of that sort that are important to the Nordic community. My father and I discussed this would be a very nice Scandinavian center, and we at that point had 3 acres and a house next door also. It had been a dream for quite a while in the Nordic community to have something like this. This would be a wonderful way to preserve our heritage, and that's what my passion in life is, to preserve the heritage so we can pass it on to future generations so they'll have an understanding of what the life was like for their great-grandparents or grandparents.
The amazing thing about this story really is, if we go back to 2008, that was a Great Recession. Yet in 2012, this group of people made a commitment to build this building within the stress of the financial times in that era. We need a building on Olsen Road next to Fogelbo. We're going to have this symbol of Nordic values. We're going to have a place where people can meet. I was fortunate enough, and I will say to this day, forever, that I consider myself very lucky to be asked to help with this building project. It's something I'm very proud of, and I worked with so many great people. This building has enabled us to bring in the founders, their children and grandchildren, and future members, and people that haven't come here yet, but yet we attract people from all over the region. How are we working as an organization? Are we recognizing the future? Are we looking at the future? Are we thinking about where we're going to be in 2040 or 2050? But most importantly, our 5 Nordic nations who share this heritage together, we can come here and celebrate and enjoy each other's company and carry out our traditions together.
My dad spent his life building things, things that were meant to last, really big things. He worked at OHSU for most of his career, and some of those buildings include the KCI Institute and the Veterans Hospital or Dornbecker Children's Hospital. These are places that serve thousands of people every day and really are a testament to the legacy from my father. But I think out of all the buildings that he built, probably one of his favorites was Nordic Northwest and the Nordia house here that's on our campus. It meant the most to him because he saw it as a way to honor his Finnish heritage and give something back to the Nordic community, something that would last. Now, my dad was a practical man. He really didn't dwell on things like legacy. But now, as part of Nordic Northwest myself, I feel a deep responsibility to carry his work forward. This building isn't just wood and concrete and steel to me. It actually is part of my father's legacy. And now it's my job to make sure it continues to be a home for the next generation.
We're in a tiny yellow house with a blue door and a very creepy basement. And there was this big dream of building a cultural center, kind of like a home for the community. And then years later, that actually happened. And in 2015, we opened Nordia House, and we had that facility, we had that center that we kind of dreamed about. And then we kind of started learning how to utilize it and live within that new home. And I think 10 years later, we're still doing that, like trying to see like how can we utilize it to its full potential and kind of include the community in that. When you see younger kids connect with Nordic Northwest or Nordia House or the campus, it makes you realize that you're looking at your work kind of differently. It makes you realize that you're not just preserving something, but that you're building and you're continuing something and creating memories that kind of leads you into the future in a way. I think it's important that we preserve it and pass it on for the next generation so that they also have a home away from home.
Different generations caring for a place like Fogelbo helps connect all the generations. So each generation sees it from a slightly different point of view, and that can kind of contribute to helping each other understand and maybe even understanding it through the lens of another age group. Being involved with Nordic Northwest, it's providing a sense of history, a sense of belonging, and a sense of understanding, what our own roots are and, maybe how to preserve it going forward.
We do have a big Scandinavian culture community around this area, and we don't really have any structures that will remind them of their past. So Fogelbo stands out as a very culturally rich institute where they can experience their cultural heritage. It is a connection between people in the US, people around Portland area, and their heritage back in Scandinavia.
Fogelbo is not just a house, it's a living, breathing history of our collective Scandinavian past. And it's very important that we pass that on to the next generation so that they understand where they came from, how they got here, how we can maintain our history.
It's important that young people are involved because we can bring a fresh set of ideas and also to carry traditions on to the future generations, and it's important to keep those traditions and festivals and languages alive.
When I knew that I was going to be starting a family, I really wanted to have activities like the ones that they have here, and just I grew up not having a lot of access to cultural activities that were relevant to my own heritage, so I sought that out, and I hope that they find that enjoyable and they find this place enjoyable, and then they'll keep coming, when they have families of their own one day.
With learning my Swedish roots, I also learned so many more things about myself, and I have new skills that I probably wouldn't have learned before coming here.
I have a lot of fond memories as a kid from going to various events that Nordic Northwest has. Scan Fair in the midsummer since I was really small, and I want to give that wonder and the cool things to my kids whenever I have them.
One of the things that makes Nordic Northwest so special is that it is a multi-generational organization. It is for people of different ages and finding commonality around things Nordic. This place exists because people before us chose to care. They believed culture needs a home, and that community doesn't happen by accident, and that if something matters, it's worth building in a way that lasts. Every generation eventually reaches a moment where responsibility is handed to them, a moment where we decide whether we simply enjoy what was built or help carry it forward. Tonight, we're inviting you into that role. Your generosity isn't about keeping a building open. It's about making sure this remains a place where young people can belong, learn, and grow. A place where culture is not just remembered, but lived. When you give, you're saying, this matters. You're saying, I'm part of the story. This home was built for the future. Together, we can ensure it remains for generations to come, a home for tomorrow.